According to the calendar, spring has officially arrived, and I have to say, standing out here on Centennial Pier with the sun shining, it feels like spring has really arrived. And that always heralds a lot of events in the Alberni Valley. And on today's show, we're going to tell you all about them, where you live. On a sunny day like today, I just love being down here at Centennial Pier on the waterfront. Hard to believe it's only a few years old. Prior to that, Harbour Quay didn't have access to the water in this same way, and that's a really positive change. Another positive change were the changes made to this year's Rock and Gem Show. There are trends in shows and exhibits, waves of popularity that seem to ebb and flow. But in the Alberni Valley, one annual event seems to defy those trends, defies them for one simple reason. Everyone, at one time or another, has bent over and picked up a rock.
You can walk out to a beach and you can see stones that are shaped by the ocean. You can see different colored stones. If you go into a forest, you're not going to see the same type of rocks. You just never know what's out there, so we can still make wonderful discoveries.
We are, of course, talking about the Alberni Valley Rock and Gem Show, a show that after 60 years is still going strong. So strong, in fact, that the organizers for this year's show moved it to the Alberni Athletic Hall, a new venue that allowed it to triple in size.
We've had vendors waiting, some of them on our wait list for 3 years. We just were unable to help them to find a spot for them in the old venue. And now with the expansion, we're able to basically give everybody a home, and we hope they do well.
One of those newcomers is Forest Crystals, a business from the interior that kind of typifies why people are drawn to rock hunting. The owners literally stumbled across a treasure.
We sell a type of quartz crystals. They're called phantom quartz. We're tree planting, we came across them, and I never knew this was such a wonderful world.
Obviously, it can be lucrative, and not everybody makes a fantastic find, but that's the beauty of it. You never know what you're going to find when you go prospecting.
What Andre and his partner found was actually more than just a cache of beautiful crystals. It was an introduction to a subculture.
It is, absolutely. There's so many subcultures out there, but we feel really lucky to be part of this subculture.
And coming out to shows like this one allows passionate rockhounds to connect, to meet some of the thousands of people who come through the doors every year, eager to see what other rockhounds have found or created.
I've been collecting rocks since I was very young, and just the glitter and all the beautiful stones and gems, it just brings me back every year. I pick something up every year.
Yes, I usually collect rocks. And I have a passion of rocks, so.
And this passion, in fact this entire event, is fostered by a group of volunteers, members of the Alberni Valley Rock and Gem Club, a club that meets all year round and has plenty going on besides this annual show.
A lot of us as members have been fascinated with rocks and gems since we were children, picking up stones, putting them in our pockets, and we just can't help ourselves. We love to share with the kids, with the public. We hope to get new members from this. If you're folks that are really interested, we go on outings. It's our way of basically once a year having an event where we involve the community and everyone has a lot of fun.
I love vintage. I love old boats. I love old clothes. And if you're like me, if you linger in front of secondhand stores that specialize in vintage, there's an event coming up that you are going to absolutely adore because it's going to attract hundreds of vintage lovers just like you and me. Fashion, vintage fashion. The dresses and coats, the muumuus and evening gowns worn by women in decades gone by. They all tell a story, not just of that woman, but of the time and place where she wore them.
These things belonged to someone. They meant something to someone at some point in time. And we're such a throwaway society. And there are so many people out there that really treasure these items. They know the history, that people have been there. It's like an old building where you can go in and really imagine all the things that have happened over hundreds of years in an old castle.
Well, if these vintage outfits are castles full of history, then surely Tricia is the gatekeeper. She's the driving force behind the Centennial Bells, a group of vintage enthusiasts who began collecting and creating fashions to celebrate Port Alberni's 1912 natal date. But since then, the group has grown to celebrate and collect fashions from the 1800s right up until the present time, presenting them in fashion shows that provide a glimpse of social history.
It's quite exciting, actually. It kind of takes you back to a whole other era just with trying the clothes on themselves. So it's, I mean, what woman doesn't like to play dress up?
Sometimes fashion dictated exactly what we should be wearing, but it was really because of what was happening in the world. I mean, in World War II during the early 40s, you were wearing anything from the 30s because everything was rationed. If you were making a skirt, they told you exactly what the yardage had to be.
Tricia is a veritable treasure trove of information about social history, and it's that history, as much as the spectacle of the clothes themselves, that forms the basis for the Centennial Bells fashion shows.
I will set up the 40s and let people know this is where women were and this is what they went through and this is how fashion has impacted that decade. And then we see what has happened, sometimes 3 or 4 models at a time, sometimes one that needs a fair amount of commentary. And then we go into the 50s and 60s and we see how the times are reflected in fashion and fashion is reflected in the times.
It definitely puts you, it gives a bit more of a face to a story that you might hear about women back in the day. And again, to just combine the clothing with that and hear the stories, it really makes it quite the experience.
And an experience meant to be shared. The Centennial Bells Fashion Show Visions in Vintage is being held on Saturday, April 7th at 2 o'clock at Echo Centre and features fashions from the 1940s through to the 1990s. Tickets are available at Boutique Belles Amies and online. There is always so much going on the waterfront. Actually, there's so much going on in Port Alberni. And in just a minute, we're going to stroll down Art Avenue with Melissa Martin to find out what's happening in the art and entertainment world of Port. But before we do that, have you heard of a group called 100 Women? Well, in the Alberni Valley, it's actually about 150 women now, quite a few of them, and they are a force to be reckoned with. It has been said that a determined group of women can do pretty much anything. And in Port Alberni, one particular group of very well organized women are setting out to change the face of fundraising in that community.
We have gathered together a lot of women who want to give back to their community. And they're going to do that by showing up tonight, pledging to pay $100, and we're going to give all the money to a charity.
The group is called 100 Plus Women Who Care in Port Alberni, and their commitment is to meet 4 times a year, where each woman will donate $100 to a charity chosen by the group. And if you do the math, that's a $10,000 donation.
I mean, what a simple, fabulous concept. I think it's brilliant. And I think it's just such an easy way to make a huge impact on our town. And that was Maureen Mackenzie's dream, our founder, who really wanted to give back to her community. Thank you so much for joining this amazing organization. This group started from one woman, Maureen Mackenzie.
It's women who care that can make a difference by doing something that's relatively easy for probably most of us. I think it's just going to be an awesome opportunity to network with people you don't see all the time. We're all busy. I'm sure I probably know a lot of the women here tonight.
It's not a new concept. 100 Women Who Care was started in 2006 and has hundreds of chapters across North America, each tailored slightly to meet the individual community's needs. But what is the same is the method of giving. Each member has the opportunity to nominate a charity, 3 of which are selected by random draw and voted on.
They have a secret ballot in their lanyards that I'm wearing, and we all will write the name of the charity that we think deserves the money. They are all taken outside, they'll be counted, and when they come back in, the charity will be named and we'll present them with a very large check.
I like to contribute to the community, and just knowing that I can make a worthwhile contribution, but when it's multiplied by 100 people, just one charity being able to get $10,000, that's pretty big. Like, there's not a lot of funds available like that anymore, and I'm pretty excited to see what charities are up for nomination and where we can go from with this.
I call it a revolutionary new way of volunteering. I volunteer for many organizations, and it takes a lot of time and effort to make enough money to have some impact on a charity.
And they did have an impact. At the end of their inaugural meeting, 100 plus Women Who Care Alberni voted to present Port Alberni's Bread of Life with their first big check. Want to get involved or find out more? Visit their website. After all, the name is 100 plus Women Who Care, and the bigger the membership, the bigger the donation.
The next meeting of 100 Plus Women Who Care will be on April 5th at 7 p.m. in the Best Western Barclay Plus Hotel. For more information or to join, visit their website, 100womenalberni.com.
Imagine falling asleep on the top of the world, with stars so close that you can almost reach out and touch them. A place so beautiful that it takes your breath away. A place like 5040 Peak, where a new alpine hut is being constructed.
The peak is about 35 kilometers west of Port Alberni on the islands, or right near the middle of the island. The hut, it's designed to sleep about 12 people, and it provides year-round access into the mountains. So if you want to go up and spend time in the mountains at any time of the year, you have a safe location now that you can head into and have a heated, dry spot that you can go to.
A heated, dry spot in the midst of an adventurer's dream.
From the hut site on 5040 Peak, you can strike out and you can hike or ski along high alpine ridges. You can head over to other peaks, Mint Mountain, Adder Mountain, get gorgeous views of other peaks, Broken Group, alpine lakes. It's a gorgeous setting up there.
As for the hut itself, it's being built by the Alpine Club of Canada, and when it's finished, it will be available for public use.
The Alpine Club of Canada offers huts all across the country. There's 32 huts right now across Canada. People apparently wanted this hut pretty badly because the private donors came up really fast with some money. Right behind that, MEC provided $15,000, which was a key donation. And then the big one that really made the project go ahead was a significant contribution from the Island Coastal Economic Trust. Without that funding, the project wouldn't have gone ahead. And I think part of the reason they supported the project is it really increases tourism, adventure tourism in the area.
Well, it will definitely be a tourism draw, and it's been an amazing volunteer undertaking. Just think for a minute about the logistics involved in building a structure like this on a mountaintop.
We got a big helicopter in and started flying all the loads up the mountain. We did well over 40 loads, maybe 60,000 pounds. And that was an exciting day.
An exciting day, but not nearly as exciting as the hut itself.
It sleeps 12 people, so it'll have heating from a wood pellet stove. It will have solar power and LED lighting. The hut itself is positioned facing an awesome mountain called Triple Peak. Right off the front glass, you're looking at this gorgeous view of the mountains and over Cobalt Lake, and you can see across a huge swath of Vancouver Island from the hut site.
The hut site is accessible by 3 different trails. The most common is the Cobalt Lake Trail, a steep 2 or 3 hour hike. But make sure you reserve your spot in the hut beforehand.
All they have to do is reserve through the Alpine Club of Canada's reservation system. The overnight fee to recover operating costs hasn't been set yet, but it looks like it'll probably be about $20 a night or so. Whatever it costs us to run the hut is what guests will be charged overnight.
The costs are low because the Alpine Club of Canada is a registered charity, a charity that relies on volunteers.
I've been amazed really at how many people have come out of the woodwork to support this project. Right now, our volunteer list is at about 200 people. We've had excellent volunteer crews on the weekend. Weekdays are a little light, so if people have time on weekdays and want to come up and help contribute to building this hut for Vancouver Island, then please contact us at huts@accvi.ca.
Well, that does bring us to the end of today's show. Thank you so much for watching. If you have a story idea or an event that you'd like to see on our show, please give us a call. We'd love to tell your story.